Welcome back to IGCSE Biology Revision Series. Today we are exploring Chapter 8, Transport in Plants. Have you wondered how a tree as tall as redwood can transport water from its roots all the way to the leaves hundreds of feet in the air? No pump, no motor, just brilliant biology. By the end of this video, you will understand the amazing transport systems that keep plants alive. Let's dive in. Unlike animals, plants don't have a heart or blood vessels, but they do have an incredibly efficient transport system. Plants need to transport water and mineral ions from the roots up to the leaves, sugar and amino acids from where they are made to where they are needed. To do this, plants have two specialized transport tissues called the xylem and the phloem. These work together in structures called vascular bundles. Think of xylem as the plant's water pipes and the phloem as the food delivery system. Let's explore each one in detail. First up, let's look at xylem vessels. These are responsible for two key functions: transporting water and mineral ions from the roots to all parts of the plant, and mainly leaves, and providing structural support to the plant. Xylem vessels have a fascinating structure perfectly adapted for their job. They are made of dead cells. Yes, dead. Here's what makes them special. They have thick walls, which are reinforced with a substance called lignin, making them extremely strong and waterproof. This is what gives plants their structural support. And they don't have any cell contents. Since the cells are dead, there's no cytoplasm or any organelles blocking the way. This creates the clear passage for water to flow. And the cells, joined end to end, are without cross walls. Xylem vessels form long continuous tubes. Imagine stacking paper towel tubes without the end caps. With this structure, water can flow freely from the bottom to top. Now for phloem. This tissue is very different because it's made of living cells. Phloem transports sucrose, the sugar made during photosynthesis, and amino acids for protein synthesis. Phloem moves these substances from sources to sinks. A source is any part of the plant that releases sucrose or amino acids, typically leaves making sugar through photosynthesis. A sink is any part that uses or stores these substances, like roots, fruits, and growing shoots. Here's something interesting. The same part of a plant can be both a source and sink at different times. For example, a potato tuber acts as a sink when it's storing starch, but becomes a source when the stored starch is converted to sugar for new growth in spring. The arrangement of xylem and phloem varies in different parts of the plant. In the root, xylem is in the center, forming an X shape or a star, with the phloem in between the arms. This central position helps the root withstand pulling forces. In the stem, the vascular bundles are arranged in a ring near the outer edge. The xylem faces inward and the phloem faces outward. This arrangement provides strength and flexibility. In the leaf, vascular bundles form the veins. You can see them branching out throughout the leaf, with xylem on top and phloem below. You need to be able to identify these in the diagrams, so make sure you practice them. Now, let's follow the water's journey through the plant, starting at the roots. Water enters the plant through specialized root hair cells. These are remarkable adaptations for absorption. They have a large surface area. Each root has thousands of tiny hair-like projections, which increase the surface area enormously. This large surface area is crucial for maximizing water and mineral ion uptake. They have a thin wall. The root has cells have thin cell walls for easy diffusion and osmosis. So, how does water actually enter? It happens by osmosis. The soil solution around the root has a higher water potential than inside the root hair cell. So, water moves in through the partially permeable membrane. But what about mineral ions? They are absorbed by active transport. Remember, active transport moves substances against the concentration gradient using energy from respiration. This is important because mineral ion concentration is often lower in the soil than in the root, so they need to be actively pumped in. Once the water enters the root hair cells, it follows this pathway. It starts at the root hair cells where it's the entry point via osmosis. Then the water moves from cell to cell by the osmosis through the root tissue. Then it enters the xylem vessels at the center of the root. Then water travels upward through the stem and moves into the leaf veins. From the leaf veins, water moves out of the xylem and into the leaf cells, namely the mesophyll cells. You can actually see this pathway in action. If you place a cut stem in colored water or suitable stain, the dye travels up through the xylem, and you can trace the exact route or water takes. This makes a great practical investigation. Here's where things get interesting. Transpiration is the loss of water vapor from leaves. But this isn't just water loss. It's actually the driving force that pulls water up through the entire plant. Here's how it works. Water travels from the xylem into the mesophyll cells inside the leaf. These cells are surrounded by interconnecting air spaces, and there are lots of them. This creates a huge internal surface area. Water evaporates from the surface of mesophyll cells into the air spaces, and water vapor then diffuses out through the tiny pores called stomata. And why does this happen? It's simple diffusion. The air spaces inside the leaf have a high humidity, while the air outside usually has lower. Water vapor moves from higher to low concentration. For extended students, here's the mechanism behind the transpiration stream and how water moves up the plant. When water evaporates from the leaves, it creates a transpiration pull. This pull draws up a continuous column of water molecules from the roots through the xylem and all the way to the leaves. How can water move as a continuous column? It's because of the forces of attraction between water molecules. We call this cohesion. Water molecules literally stick together. So when one is pulled up, it pulls the next one with it, like a chain. This is called the cohesion tension theory. The tension refers to the pulling force and cohesion refers to the water molecules sticking together. This is how trees can move water over 100 meters high without any energy input from the plant itself. The energy comes from the sun, which drives evaporation. Several factors affect the rate of transpiration, namely the temperature, wind speed, and humidity. Higher temperature increases transpiration rate. Why? Because warmer temperatures provide more kinetic energy for the water molecules to evaporate, and evaporation from the leaf surfaces happens faster. The air can hold more water vapor at higher temperatures, maintaining the concentration gradient. Increased wind speed increases the transpiration rate. Moving air removes the water vapor from around the stromata. maintaining a steep concentration gradient between the inside and the outside of the leaf. In still air, water vapor accumulates around the leaf, slowing down further diffusion. Then last is the humidity. Higher humidity decreases the transpiration rate. If the air is already saturated with water vapor, the concentration gradient is reduced, so less water diffuses out. So on a humid day, transpiration slows down significantly. You should be able to investigate these factors experimentally using a simple potometer, a device that measures the water uptake, which can show how these factors affect transpiration rate. Now, for our final topic, it is the translocation. This is the movement of sucrose and amino acids through the plant tissue. Remember, this is completely different from transpiration. Transpiration is about water moving up in xylem, and translocation is about dissolved food substances moving in phloem, and they can move both up and down the plant depending on where they are needed. Let's clarify some terms here. These are key to remember. The first term is sources. These are parts of the plant that release sucrose or amino acids. The main source is the mature leaves, where photosynthesis produces glucose that's converted to sucrose for transport. Storage organs can also be sources, where they release stored food. For example, when a bulb sends sugars to growing shoots. And then we have the sinks. These are parts of the plant that use or store sucrose or amino acids. Examples include growing roots and shoots, which use the sugars for respiration and growth. Then we have the fruits and seeds, which stores sugars and amino acids. Storage organs like potato tubers or onion bulbs. And then the flowers uses energy for reproduction. Here's the clever part. The same structure can change roles. Consider a potato tuber. In summer, it's a sink, receiving and storing the sucrose from the leaves. In spring, it becomes a source, releasing stored sugars to support new shoot growth. Or think about a leaf. A young developing leaf is a sink. It's growing and needs sugars for mature leaves. A mature leaf is a source. It's photosynthesizing and exporting the sugars to the rest of the plant. This flexible system allows plants to redirect resources where they are most needed at any given time. When a plant flowers, for example, the flowers become major sinks, drawing sugars away from the other parts of the plant. This chapter has several important practical investigations you should know about. The first investigation is a pathway of water. Here, use a cut stem placed in water containing a dye or a stain, like food coloring or eosin. After a few hours, cut the stem at different points and observe the staining pattern. You will see the dye concentrated in xylem vessels, proving this is the water transport pathway. The second investigation is the factors affecting transpiration. Here we use a spotometer. This is a simple device where a cut shoot sits in a tube of water. As the plant transpires, water moves into the apparatus, and you can measure the rate by tracking an air bubble in the tube. You can test different conditions using the same apparatus. You can place the plant in different temperatures, for example, or use a fan to vary the wind speed, or compare the humid versus the dry conditions. The last investigation is observing vascular bundles. Examine prepared slides of roots, stem, and leaf sections under a microscope. You should be able to identify xylem and phloem in each, noting their different positions and arrangements. Practice sketching what you see and labeling the structures. These investigations demonstrate the concepts we have covered and are excellent for developing your practical skills. And that wraps up Chapter 8, Transport in Plants. In this chapter, we explored how plants move vital substances like water, minerals, and food through their transport systems, the xylem and phloem. You learned how root hair cells absorb water by osmosis, how transpiration pulls water up through the plant, and how translocation moves sugars from the leaves to other parts of the plant. We also looked at the structure of the stem and leaf, and how different environmental factors affect the rate of transpiration. Here's a quick tip. Make sure you can explain the difference between transpiration and translocation, label plant transport diagrams, and describe how water moves through the plant. These are commonly structured and practical questions. Up next, we will move into Chapter 9, where we will explore transport in animals and learn how the human circulatory system keeps every cell supplied and functioning. If you found this lesson helpful, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next chapter in our Examify IGCSE Biology Revision Series. You can also join our free WhatsApp group for live sessions and updates. The link is in the description below. And if you want to level up your revision, check out our Examify mock papers and topical revision packs designed to help you study smart and score higher. Until next time, see you soon.